orange Marilyn in many ways marked the beginning of a new era of prices, while the golden calf, the last of the event after which prices fell down by 30%. The series of 7 and 8 figure sales, even for the living artist, made the auctioneers ambitious to believe that they could see $1 billion work in their lifetime. Our concern here is who decide these prices and how are they established. The important people in the art world can be spotted in Art Review Power 100 and news headlines these days. But such lists are subject to change with changing time and trends. Like this year, the museum curators and new players from the emerging world stepped up, while the boom stars stepped down. The selling price is essentially the intersection of the buyer's willingness and the seller's given validation, but their bargaining powers are largely relative. The power to dictate prices may easily slip from the dealer to the artist as the artist's reputation grows, and during recession, the buyers were seen to be in a better bargaining position. However, these influential factors are very case-specific. The dealer may be tempted to build the artist's reputation, while the auction house might look at the artwork's attributes. In contemporary art segment, the market mechanism became increasingly important, and strategies like hold and sell, priority list, chandelier bids, and cornering the market became increased prices in many folds. And needless to say that the factors and issues that affect the world largely affect the art prices too, like recession, 9/11, or taxes. But auctioneer Tobias Mayer insists on property as a very interesting comparison and say that a decent price must be judged against the price that of a great New York apartment. Though there's a constant struggle between the intrinsic qualities of art versus the market mechanism, not all factors influence prices at all times in the same way or in the same strength. And while most artists are likely to follow some ladder of price appreciation, they have different set of factors influencing their career growth and their growth rate. These artists represent very different career growths and reasons for their success or failure. The handout before you correlates and compare their turnovers and reputation. First, the most expensive living artist, whose prices superseded expectations phenomenally, is a creation of fantastic market mechanisms. His solo Sotheby's auction 2008 was a seminal event in the history, but then, affected by the downturn, his prices contracted severely and his top hammer price dropped to $1 million this year. On the other hand, Gerhard Richter's turnover was less than Hearst in 2008, but his rank and reputation has grown stronger over a longer period of time. He is critically appreciated and his local market is really strong, which has taken him to the top of the market confidence list this year. Artists like Anselm Kiefer, whose market is steady, is represented by major galleries and is seen in public collections, but his prices never really boomed to that high. Even during the boom time, his highest top hammer was $3 million. Schnabel is a quick reminder of an artist created by market boom and stardom, followed by shattered prices that have still not come back, and his rank has dropped ever since. This year he's 303. Will history repeat itself? We do not know. But in the broad spectrum of contemporary art, the reasons may be varied for price fluctuations. But when an Andy Warhol's $201 bill gets $43.7 million this year, because of its reduced estimates and the rarity factors, it might just be time to shift and lay more emphasis on the internal factors of art than the external, and a more realistic pricing of contemporary art. Now, Loressa will take you on a tour in understanding the glamour side of the art.
The successful marketing of contemporary art has essentially